Hey guys, real quick before we get into today's video, I just want to apologize in advance for some of the choppy editing that you might see. I switched editing software right before I started this video. This is also only the second video I've ever actually had to edit before. So yeah, apologize in advance for that. Also, you're going to see some vertical video as well. I know a lot of people don't like going from horizontal to vertical and stuff. Some of the footage was provided by some of the fellow rally members, so shout out to you guys. You know who you are. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, no, this has been a big project. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to the live action. Hey everyone, in today's video, we're going to be attending one of the smallest motorcycle rallies in America. But not just any motorcycle rally, it's put on by the manufacturer. And it's actually a little manufacturer called Janus motorcycles. Now everybody's heard of Harley, everybody's heard of Indian, and if you're a little bit more into bikes, you've probably heard of Buell. But what if I told you there's a smaller, more niche kind of motorcycle company out there? One that's really unique in its own way. Built right in northern Indiana, and that's exactly where we're going. We're gonna head to Goshen, Indiana. We're gonna check it out. We're gonna see what they're made of, and who knows, maybe we'll even take one home with us. Or maybe we not. I got a surprise for you a little later in the video, but for now, let's get packing. We got a 10-hour drive ahead of us to get there. Probably not gonna get there till 2 o'clock in the morning, so it's gonna be a long night. But I bought a VIP ticket so we can get an ins and outs of the whole place. And I'm really excited to show you guys and also see firsthand exactly what this place is gonna be like. And how they're built and everything. But the thing is about this place, before we get going, is you need to own one of their motorcycles in order to attend the rally. I have an answer for that. And here's my answer for that. This is my 2018 Janus Griffin 250, chassis number 19. That's right, this is the 19th one they've ever built. And they've been building these bikes now for, I don't know, over 10 years. I know the Halcyon 250, which is their other model, just had its 10-year anniversary, and I would imagine this bike's not too far behind it. So to have the 19th one ever built is pretty dang cool. And this is the rest of the trailer. I'll show you guys more of this throughout the whole video, but essentially you have to own one of these bikes in order to be able to go to the rally. And I know it might sound a little weird, but it's a Janus owners rally. Let me be clear, owners. You got to own one. But if you ever decide to pick one up someday, you can attend the rally as well. And I'll explain my whole story about how I acquired this bike here on the way down. So, like I said, we got a long drive to go. I'm going to get hitched up here, and I think we're going to throw everything we need inside the trailer. And yeah, we'll hit the road. About a year and a half ago, I set out on a journey to buy a Janus motorcycle. That turned out to be easier said than done. With less than 2,000 bikes made by this company, I found it pretty quick that I didn't have much of a used market to work with. So I searched the internet high and low for months, and I finally found a bike that I could get a hold of that was within a reasonable drive from southeastern Minnesota. I jumped in my truck, headed to Kansas City, Missouri, and looked at the bike. The seller and I could only get it to run on starting fluid and full choke. After confirming good compression and it only having 275 miles on it, I kinda had to take his word for it that it was going to be a good runner. And after a carb clean and a little love, sure enough, got it home, put it up on my lift, went through the whole bike, and now it runs like new. Alright, just pulling up for gas. It looks like we're probably going to hit some rain. That didn't take long. I'm 30 minutes from home, and I'm already hitting bad weather. Whatever, can't complain, gotta do it, gotta put miles down. So I'm going to top off both of my tanks really quick. I got an auxiliary tank in the bed of the truck that we're going to top off, and then hit the road, start putting miles down. Normally this trip would take you about 7.5, 8 with stops or so. But I'm pulling a trailer and I'm taking a 2-hour detour around Chicago, because if I were to go through Chicago, I'd go through like the worst time of day. Because right now it's like 4 o'clock. So yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said we're probably not going to get there till like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be a hell of a drive. So got a little shitter with me just in case. You never know. Yeah, definitely rain. If I'm going to survive tonight and probably most of the day tomorrow, I'm going to need an energy drink. So I'm going to run inside and grab an energy drink or two. Yeah. Alright, sit rep. There's the Minnesota sign on the left over here. And we're just going to be pulling into Wisconsin here. Lacrosse. Heading towards Madison. Still have a very long ways to go. I technically only left my house like an hour ago, not including the time it took for me to get fuel. So, yeah, about to cross this bridge real quick. Here we go. Alright, just pulling into the greater Madison area. So, it's getting darker a little sooner than I was hoping, but I mean, whatever. So, traffic's not as bad as I thought it would be, but I just got gas again, and it's getting dark, so this is where it starts getting kind of interesting. I'll let you know when we get to the border. Whoa! About to look close.
Welcome to Illinois.
There it is, folks. I'll probably toss out another update once I get into Indiana, because traffic out here be real. Real bad. But it is...
2 miles, take exit 3 for Rockton Road.
I also got to listen to her. So, I'll hit you guys up here in a little while. Hopefully the traffic will start to die down a little bit, but it's going to be kind of uneventful from here. It's just honestly going to be mostly back roads and kind of just skipping Chicago. That's kind of the goal. So, yeah, wish me luck. Let's get it through, and I'll hit you guys when we hit Indiana border, and then home stretch. So okay, we are 5.4 miles away from the Indiana border, and I just slammed my truck right into a railroad track back there. I'm actually a little tempted to pull over and check stuff, because I mean, I absolutely freaking smoked those railroad tracks back there. So far, so good, kinda, for the most part. What the hell's this? Look at this. It makes you turn right to go straight. See that? I don't know. I might pull over really quick. By the way, it's like 11:30 at night almost. So, yeah. The route that it wanted to take me was going to put me out into Goshen at like almost 3 in the morning. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. I'm trying to skip Chicago, but I'm also trying to get some sleep tonight too. So, I found another little town or another little route just kind of like to the northeast of here that still skips all the city, but it cuts my time down by like 45 minutes. So we're going to hit that. And then, my goal is to still make it tonight. I'm feeling pretty good, so let's keep this going. All right, let's check this out. I don't think there's a single road in this state that isn't paved. I might be being paranoid, but I don't know, man. That shit hit hard. It smells skunk. Hopefully I don't get walked up on by a skunk or some other animal. I don't know, we're looking pretty solid. I don't know, I'm probably just being paranoid, but I'm over here just like, dang, dude, I really smoked that. It just came up so fast, too. I think we're good. Honestly, we look really good. All right, final update for the night before I pull into Goshen. We're an hour and 23 out from the place that I gotta be for the night. I didn't realize that it was gonna be Eastern Daylight Time. So we're actually going forward an hour, which is what I was really hoping would not be the case. So I'm like I'm literally not gonna crawl into bed until like 3 a.m. That absolutely sucks. Oh man, the things we do for motorcycles. But I'm super stoked either way. I'm ready to get there. I feel good enough to get all the way there, so I'm gonna do it and catch as much shut-eye as I can. And yeah, we're just gonna crash. So I'll see you guys when we get there. Let's just get this over with. Oh, it's time for bed. I would have filmed coming in, and I would have filmed getting out of the truck and stuff, but gotta be quiet because everybody around. I guess there's other people staying in this place too. I'll try to talk a little bit more about it tomorrow, but I didn't want to say too much because I didn't know 100% if we were supposed to stay here or not. But I was told I can, so I don't know. So anyway, that's what we're doing. I'm gonna hit the sack. It's literally 3 o'clock in the morning. I literally just rolled in just now. I'm exhausted. I'm hoping I get some decent amount of sleep. It sounds like there's a train yard nearby. There's already a train ripping by, so I'm gonna go to bed and then get up in the morning and reevaluate, see what's going on, and then I'm gonna show you guys a surprise, or at least some of you watching probably already know what it is. So I probably didn't shut up about it for like the last 8 months. but for those watching who don't know me, it's pretty cool. Pretty excited about it. So I get this bad unit unloaded in the morning, and then we're gonna have some good old rally fun. Let's hit it up and let's see if we can come up with. See you guys in the morning. Oh, I would say good morning, but I didn't sleep very good. This place must be located near some train tracks or something, as I mentioned before, so those are kind of going off all night. I'll probably sleep like a baby tonight, but sun's just starting to come up outside. I just got up, just brushed my teeth. I'm going to get changed, and then I'm going to get my bike unloaded. I'm already hearing some other people pull up on theirs, and there's some other ones on trailers and stuff nearby. It's super cool. I can't wait to show you guys the footage or, everything later. It's going to be really awesome. So I got a few things to do, and then, yeah, we got a big day ahead of us today, big day ahead of us tomorrow. Yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be pretty sweet. Look at all of these bikes. I was one of the first to kind of roll in, crawl out of the trailer across the street. And there's only going to be more. From what I've been told, this is nothing.
Yes, I'm costing myself money here, but I gotta be honest, yeah.
Let's take a look inside.
Charge me that too.
That is still active until 5 p.m. You gotta move your bike out from under the utility customer sign. Pull on over here.
Superman bike. And welcome to Janus headquarters.
Across the street, you can pull in here. We got access to the
This is where it all happens. I haven't told you guys yet, but my surprise is back there. Let's go get it. Alright, I think I've held off from you guys enough. Let's take a look at this thing. I'm so excited. This isn't the only reason why. Or I guess the only reason why I didn't come down is for the rally. But I also came down to take delivery on my brand new Halcyon 450. See that little glimmer off the fin there? Wow. This thing's even better in person than it was in the rendering. I mean, I only had a computer rendering and two bad pictures on the build stand. Gave me a temporary plate for it. They said I can ride it right away. So there's no waiting. They washed it, they brought it out to me, and they said, here you go. I ordered this bike back in February. It is now late September, and I'm just now seeing it, feeling it, riding it for the first time. Truly beautiful. But we're gearing up to go for a ride, so this will be my first time riding this bike, my first time riding the Halcyon in general. We're going to ride this thing all the way up to Lake Michigan, it sounds like, And I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it rides really good. I'm really excited. This thing's pretty sweet. But we're not going to toss the Griffin aside. Still love this bike. This is what got me here. You can't forget your roots, boys. Can't forget your roots. That's what got me here. Just about to now.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. So this is where they build the bikes. When they get done building them, oftentimes they'll end up in here while they kind of wait to get washed and ready to go. Somebody's just getting worked on. Just everywhere. Digging the Harbor Freight lifts. Familiar with that. The airline coming off the wall. Look at this old building, man. This is just too cool. Ah, yes, the build room. So somebody's getting theirs built.
Is it yours?
No, mine's outside. I just got mine this morning. Let's say serial number 1. 50cc. Other notes. How you doing?
Asked for a Herbie theme, so I think he needs to put the front fender on too. That just came back from Calgary.
Did you paint the front fender with the same stripes?
No, he just wanted it black like this one.
Oh.
Just did the paint to match that Herbie car.
You do excellent work.
Thank you.
Some of the custom schemes on that. Assuming that's where all of the parts come in. Wow. They put a shelf in just about every spot they possibly could find just to... These are forks. Leading links, back luggage racks, cables. Then you got the guy who services it all. I love this building, man. Back into receiving. Every person here has their craft, and they're masters at it. Tomorrow we're going to go to the fender shop and I think both fabrication shops. We're going to ride over there and check out those places too. That's going to be really cool. So you see the parts here, but you're not actually seeing them being made here, but they are made here in Indiana, here in Goshen, just a few miles away in a different fabrication shop. So, like, for example, these are like what they're like raw, come in from fab, and then they go into powder coating, get their color. So yeah, I'm excited to show you guys the fabrication shop tomorrow. It just proved that there isn't a whole lot of companies left anymore that actually build their motorcycles in the United States. I just can't get over this build room. This is where my bike was built. Both of them, actually, I would imagine at some point. Got a 450 here, a 450 here. Unbelievable. Look at the big gantry crane hoist. Probably to lift the bikes on and off. This is the next cool bit. So here's their rims for the various models. But this is the thing I wanted to show the most. This is their rolling road. Look at that. When they get done building a bike, they put it on this apparatus and they actually fire them up. And they test everything. They run them down the road, essentially, to make sure the engine runs, make sure it goes through all the gears, make sure everything, all the switch gear works. You can see there's a bike on here now. That big compressor. But I thought this rolling road was interesting because, I mean, this thing looks, it almost looks homemade. But I mean, it works. It's like a dyno for hand-built motorcycles. Crazy. What is your exact job here?
My job, so I, bit of like receiver, inventory, like the warehouse kind of area. I've done some pre-assembly stuff, so I do some things here and there when needed, especially on the bench. But yeah, it's pretty much what I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is a really cool place.
Oh yeah, thank you. We have a lot of fun here. It's I mean, can you imagine having a job making motorcycles?
Yeah, no kidding. What was this building originally for again?
It was a dry cleaner.
That's right.
Yeah, so you had the little windows in front, like place to drop off and pick up and everything, and even in the assembly areas where they had the racks that would go around. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
What's the YouTube channel?
It's just my first name, last name, just Devin Boynton. So,
okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That's basically all it is. So, yeah, I'm not very big yet or anything. I'm just kind of getting my feet wet in a little bit, but I'm just trying to spread the good word about Janus and
that's great.
Stuff like that. So, yeah, I've known about Janus for about 8 years. I watched Richard on Jay Leno's Garage.
Yeah, the old Rambus.
Yeah. So I watched that and I was like, man, I like the 250 and everything, but I'd pay a little bit more for like a slightly bigger bike. And like not even a couple of years later, you guys came out with the Halcyon 450 and I said, that's my bike, 100%.
That's a fine bike.
Yeah. So, and then I got my Griffin I traded 2 guns, $500 and a Yamaha Roadliner for it.
Well, you know the list, you know the cost.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm going to get my hands on one, whether they like it or not. So, yeah. All right, cool, man. Appreciate the information.
Yeah, anytime. Any questions, let me know. And yeah, be in and out.
Sounds good. Good, thank you. Oh, wow. I guess VIPers get the grand treatment. Look at that. Everybody else has to sit back there while we come up here and we drink and we eat supper. VIP, baby. Alright, so we were in the middle of dinner. Well, not in the middle of dinner. We finished dinner. We finished dessert. We were doing kind of like a fun table game. And all of a sudden, the fire alarm started going off. So then everybody had to evacuate the building. But then all of a sudden, they were like, no, JK, everybody can go back inside. The popcorn machine was just smoking. All right, that's fine. They'll go back up in there. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, just kidding. We're done for the night. I wish I could have caught that on film. It was so funny. But no, totally good time. I guess the last thing to do for the night is a bonfire. So the theater is back there. And then the factory is right here. So we're literally... I mean, you have to ride to half these places. It's just all in the same block. So, I might go hang out at the bonfire for a little bit, shoot the shit with some more guys, and we'll call her a night. Oh, by the way, I test drove this thing. Dangerous. Griffin 450. First one. Or at least one of the first ones.
I'll be right here. Take it.
Get ready to go to the bonfire. Guys heading up to the bonfire, or are you going to hang in for the night?
Just got to go to the hotel, take a huge dump, and then we're going to go to the bonfire.
Okay, that's on video.
Is it? But it's on video. But it's true.
It's 100% on video.
But it's true. He's not wrong. He may have underestimated by only using the word huge. No, we bought some parts.
Are we talking like a Pringles can or pellets?
Oh.
No. You're going to need a doctor after that one. Oh, man. Oh, man.
We can cut this out, though, but we'll be at the bonfire later.
All right.
We're going to swim behind the hotel. It's still going to stay warm, though, right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I might beat up there for a little bit, and once it gets dark, I'll probably come back here.
And you should have mentioned there was the same address exists in Elkhart also, but it's the Goshen one.
Really?
Makes me wonder how many people are going to go to the Elkhart one if they Google that.
Oh, wow.
We'll see.
See the Halcyon 50?
That's a 50. Yeah, that's number 11.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I would have filmed the bonfire, but I was there for like a whopping 20 minutes and we were getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, so I left and came back to the trailer. And since they rolled in at 3 o'clock, this morning. I was pretty tired, so I pretty much just took a shot of whiskey, changed, burped the trailer from the heat, and then sat outside with a fellow rally mate of mine for a little while, shot the shit with him for a little while, and yeah, that was kind of it. So the bonfire was really cool, but man, there was a lot of bugs. It was really bad, so we kind of just had to honestly just kind of call it at that. So I'm going to put the camera up for the night, but tomorrow's going to be a lot cooler. I really hope you guys like that shop tour today. That was awesome. So there's definitely a lot more information on across YouTube and online and stuff like that of everything that they do in there. There's multiple shop tours and stuff online and everything that you can watch, and it's like they just go into so much detail, but I just love the perspective across the board. So anyway, shop tour is cool. Tomorrow is going to be another couple shop tours. We get to do a welding demo, so we get to actually watch them weld some parts together for the different bikes that they build. And then they also are going to do a fender thing as well, so we can actually see how the fenders get rolled and made and everything. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. So I look forward to showing you guys that stuff. But yeah, no, I'm going to put the camera up for the night. We will see you in the morning. All right. It is now Saturday. I got here Friday, and I slept like a baby last night. I had to put earplugs in though, because the train kept going by. And I don't know. Apparently, Goshen's got a pretty active street racing scene. So, other than that, I slept amazing. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get up, get changed, and I guess there's a big pancake breakfast this morning, so we're gonna go hit up that. So sweet. All right, I'll fire up my brand new Halcyon 450. It's already got, I can't even picking it up, but it's already got 146 miles on it. It ain't hard to stack miles on these things. Fuel injected though. So much better than a carburetor in some ways. But let's go get breakfast. So you're the one that did right. So I guess, I mean, this is 253, so this is an older one.
2019.
Okay. And I guess what was the goal behind the patina?
This came across my Facebook feed in February 2019, so I thought it looked really cool and retro.
Yeah.
And then they said it had a Chinese engine on it. And Richard rode from San Francisco to New York. So when I bought it, my intention was to put it through the paces and see what it would do. You know, just really, just destroy it.
Right.
But I rode it out in mud and gravel roads and gumbo, and and I never washed it, and it held up, and it's been
continues to hold up.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
And the patina up here, I had a basket here when I went to Alaska.
Okay.
And I had brake fluid in it. And I'm riding along coming back from Alaska. I felt something warm in my arm. And I looked and my brake fluid was leaking.
Oh my gosh.
The lid come open. So that's where all this paint come
Oh, it
off.
really tore up the paint that
Yeah.
much, huh?
But I figured it started again. But I like it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
It looks really neat. I mean, this thing looks like it's a Dalton Highway Survivor.
And then when I picked it up, I wanted the highlights on the Janus and it didn't have them. So I come in to Hannah. I said, I got to have those highlights on there.
That's so cool.
So I think Kelly had to stay through lunch to put them on. And then I come in and I said, I want to get it after lunch. Oh, this has got to dry. And I said, don't worry about it. It ain't gonna
It don't matter.
I told Kelly yesterday, I said, the pinstriping you put on, the highlights look better than the rest of the bike.
That's awesome. Well, if you're interested in a mud flap, I make mud flaps for the Halcyon 250 leading links. So
Yeah.
if you look on my Griffin, I got a mud flap right there.
Yeah,
So
I would love one of those.
yeah. So I've am thinking about whipping up a bunch of them and throwing them up on the owner's page.
Yeah.
And then if you want one, just all you gotta do is private message me and we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Those
So
look really cool.
yeah,
Somebody else was just talking. I said they needed maybe a mud flap on theirs.
yeah.
That's
So
I
cool.
want to trim my fender down on the front. It's the way it rotates on.
Right?
Like, mine's black. You can notice the bottom of it is painted black.
Yeah.
Because I dented the hell out of it.
Oh, really?
I ride this thing up in the mountains off road.
well, if you quit wheeling it,
I've never really done it. I really did Phoenix. Like coming off the curb,
yeah.
the step down when you hit, the fender rotates.
Oh,
the
yeah.
springs on it. Oh,
Yep.
you just crush the bottom.
That's how I snapped my first mud flap on there.
Jan, we've got some familiar faces. Jason, he commented. That was cool. What's up? He's here. We've got George Davidson. What's up, dude? Glad to see you in the stream on this early morning. It is outrageously early. It's 9:30. How long is the whole ride?
Probably 3 times.
3 times. I still think that
Walt
was
Whitman.
he's known to
Like leaves of grass.
wow, good for him, I guess. I will say that was probably such a long time that we've ever done.
So I almost do.
Where do you?
I don't really want to steal the thunder.
Oh.
All right. So credit where credit is due here. We have an incredible team here, as you all know. We have Neil, who runs our design area, and he's been hard at work making sure that these Griffins, all the last little bits, have been finished up for you all. We have Griffin 450s on order, and we also have Chase Borden, who does all of our electrical design. He does emissions certification work. He does and a lot of
I was gonna use the cans.
problem solving. Oh, you want the cans up?
Yeah, I was gonna prop them up.
Put the can. There we go. So Chase has really taken the Phoenix under his wing and has been working on the rough designs at this point for the 450cc version of the Phoenix. This is the prototype, which was just welded up, I'm going to say, last week, of the 450 tank. This is, I'm going to get the exact volume wrong, but I think we're about 3.5 gallons. So one of the things that we're working on is increasing the displacement, or displacement, but the tank capacity on the 450 Phoenix. There's a lot of additional stuff that's going to go into this. We've chosen with the Phoenix 450 to kind of, rather than try and come out with a running, working, fully kind of further down the road model, we're going to release this gradually as we develop it. So the first step is the tank. The tank is such a big part of the motorcycle. And the Phoenix tank is a beautiful.
Let's go check out the fab shop. Right.
iPhone or Android?
Android. It's an old one too. This thing's like 5 years old, but it takes awesome videos. I edit on this, everything.
Yeah, I do a lot on my iPhone. That's the best camera I've used on YouTube.
Yeah.
It just works.
Oh yeah. It's like he's at a starting line over there and everybody's ready to race. And we're off. Hey, that's a nice bike. Where'd you get that?
I bought it at a place, and then I did some stuff to it to make it more dirt worthy.
Yeah.
A mud flap?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
I make them if you're interested.
No, I cut those off.
What, the mud flap?
The mounts
Oh,
on this one.
yeah. I made it because I don't have a skid plate.
Huh?
Figured, well, 20-cent mud flap or $400 skid plate.
Well, I actually doubled my skid plate because it helps me slide over trees.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I put a longer kickstand and moved it up so it doesn't drag on the ground.
Nice.
And then I moved my brake pedal so that it's not sticking out under the frame.
Right. Where'd you get those folding pegs? Or those
Amazon.
Amazon?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had to shave it down a little bit. Put a longer shift lever on it so that I could actually shift with boots on.
Nice.
270 for the cam, so I got more low-end torque.
Yeah.
Roller rockers, or roller lifters rather. Spark arrestor so that the state doesn't give me a hassle when I'm in the city.
No kidding.
The state parks running trails.
Yeah.
Put a 19 up front, 16 in the rear, 52 sprocket in the rear.
Wow.
So that it can crawl out of the mud.
Easy.
And drag trees.
You did a terrific job.
And then change out the master cylinder or the rear cylinder so that I could do have a reservoir so more juice to pump.
You don't have a problem with your Kickstarter dragging or the grinding when your leg rubs up against it on trails?
No.
I did.
No.
I had to take mine off and relocate it over to my fork over here.
I have no issues with that.
Because if you look on mine, the diameter, the inner diameter of the shaft is the same as the leading link, so I just attached it right there.
Yeah, I haven't had any issue with that. What else we got? Nibby carb.
Yeah, a standard.
18 on the main and 140 on the low side.
Sure.
Move the crankcase ventilation to up here rather than the intake.
Makes sense.
Went with a heavier clutch cable on there because that's the last thing I want to break in the woods.
Good point.
And like I said, I moved this brake up to get it above the frame.
Yeah.
Other than that, she's a beast.
Absolutely. Well, wonderful work, man.
She's a beast. She's fun.
Yeah. Well, should we go check out the inside?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, let's do it.
Tiny bike when I was a kid.
Oh, sure. So we're here at the fabrication shop. Gonna get a quick demo on everything.
It's DOM steel, which DOM strong or mandrel will seam in. There's a couple components we can seam through. 90% of our chassis sets are all DOM, which is nasty. That is. For our bikes being light, we don't cut any corners on material thicknesses. It's a good billy club too.
It's light for me. It's heavy for him.
So the other thing to go back to the chromoly is the welding process. Is if you don't do the welding process right, it's super brittle and it'll break. So it's got its perks, but for what we do, DOM is perfect. Over here, this is so after it's processed, we have tooling for all of our parts, and all the tooling is made in house. I don't know if you guys have met Neil, but Neil designs a lot of it. So a lot of this is all 450 chassis set stuff. We got some highway bar and jigs in here too, but like this is a kickstand jig. So even the kickstands are made down here. The griffin and the housing. And then over here we have this cool little new cart that we just got. So when we load up with the parts for the actual thing we're making, and we can keep it really organized here. So we'll go through and prep all of our jobs, put the prints, the jigs, everything that will fit on here, and that's our new cart. Our other fabricator's parents own a bakery, so yeah. So we've got a bunch of these really big trays. We had probably 4 or 5 small ones. He brought us massive ones that are great, and then he brought us a rack. So we can load that. We can load the crap out of that, and it's mobile. So we can prep all of our laser cut parts or in process parts in this new rack. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then we run a cart system. So we have that. We also have a cart system. So what we'll do is like these are vertical tubes. So these were bent. These are bent in-house, and then they get a sleeve welded in. There's a big plug that goes in and gets welded. And so that's one step, and then it will get machined off and radius, and then it'll be ready to go into the tooling. And then it gets a pivot slug down here, which is also sleeved into here. So what we do is, as we process it, like Jack will start with a cart with all the raw material, he'll bend it all, and then the cart will go to the next station where we'll weld these on. And the next station is we'll grind them, and then after that's done, then we load the cart with the next product. So this cart will go right into the weld cell for me or Bren, the two welders, so we don't have to chase parts. Everything mobile. And when the cart's empty, rotation. We try to line them up the best we can. But that's how we do our production on that stuff. This is our transom jig. I don't have any transom parts to really show you, but this is how we build the transom. The rear swing arm, essentially, in this tooling. I don't have much to show because I don't have any parts for this.
Basically, this is the rear drop out.
Yep.
So your rear axle attachments, and all these parts fit in very nicely.
You might have backwards. I don't know.
And they all go in, and it holds. The purpose, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
The purpose of this is what?
So it locates everything, and it's got a lot of locations and really key points. Like this is where that is for your struts, your fender struts, so that has to be where it needs to be every time. This is where your seat and your seat springs mount, fender mount. So the key locations, your dropouts, that way everything stays square. So if you have a tube that has a little bit of variance in it, your key parts are still dead nuts. And then, this is where your pivot, this is where the front of the transom would pivot, where it bolts to the engine, and it'll pivot. This is a pretty basic set of tooling here. Not too crazy of stuff. And you see that, how it's got that fish bone kind of cut in it? And then it's got these two tabs in it, so there's little notches. Yep. And if we have a die in there, we stick it in there and we locate it on those pins, and it smashes it. And then once it's smashed, we put it in the vise and we break that off, which essentially gives us that. And what that does is that squeezes the tube smaller, so the dropout plate will fit really tight and get a really good weld around it without having those sort of gaps. We do that on a couple of our products. These are laser cut, yeah. So that's how we get our tubes. And then there's little etch marks in it. See the little etch mark right there? So when we put it in our bender, we have a pointer that will tell us where to locate that, so we get the rotation of the tube correct. And that's all been engineered in there. So this one's just got one right there. And so what we'll do is we'll do the fish mount first, and then we'll bend it, because you can't do it after the bend. So that's the process I wanted to show you guys first, but there's a billion people that are making benders, so.
It's like just ready to.
Mark is kind of squared off. He moves it to the other side. The tube is completely trapped, because it'll change that little bit. Will change the orientation depending on what we're doing. But I don't know if you guys can see it. So if we have to make any sort of adjustments, we can use that as our zero, and we can adjust things if we need to adjust pivot or length. We use that as our ballpark. That's our standard, and then we can adjust from there. Go ahead, buddy.
If we get lined up, we take down the metal.
Set?
Simple as that.
Yeah. Now we have programs that we built for these, so we've had to figure out all these bends. And sometimes because it's a program, but the properties of steel can change, one tube to another can fluctuate. Not so much like if we get a run of tubes and say sometimes you'll get what I call winter tubing, which they put different oil on it. It'll be a darker, thicker oil, and that's so it doesn't rust in transportation. Those will sometimes bend slightly different. So we'll bend one, and we'll check it in the tooling and confirm that it's right, and adjustments need to be made, then Jack will make the proper adjustments to make everything. Is that? Like this? So there's constant pressure on this die. So this is what I would call a keeper die. So this keeps pressure pushed against that tube. It's sandwiched. And then as this rotates, the tube rotates around this die, and that's what keeps it from deforming. So if you run,
we have so many different radiuses of dies too, and for each pipe.
so your die is based on your tube diameter. So tubing goes by exterior measurement, pipe goes by interior dimension. So you got to make sure you have the right die. If you got 3/4 pipe, it's not going to work in the 3/4 tube die. That's the problem that a lot of people get confused on. And in the metal industry, some stuff is pipe and some stuff is tubing. So, but yeah, and there's different radiuses. So we have different radiuses of this. So like this is a 4-inch radius. We have a couple 3-inch radiuses. Just depends on how big of a hoop you want. You know.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we
544.
yeah,
like 544.
Could be. So the reason you can't do exhaust tubing in here is because exhaust tubing is so much thinner that even with the pressure, it will just it deforms because it has places to go. So like an exhaust bender you'll have a tube in here, and you'll have you'll have 2 of those that'll pivot, and you'll have this die will come straight in at it, almost like think of a brake press on its side. So you have a die that comes down in it, and the creeper dies allow it to move, and that's what keeps it from kinking. So you can't draw it around a mandrel as what this would be considered. So.
And there is a hydroforming too. I have one of those tried most of the exhaust for a hydroforming.
Mm-hmm. That's a slightly different process. I'm not super familiar with hydroforming.
Water.
Yeah.
Or water.
Yeah, water. Hydraulics, yeah.
You've seen it where people put sand
Yep,
in the
I've done that
tubing,
before.
pack it before, yeah.
So
Weld a
that's
cap
one way
on.
That's one way you can cheat. Like say you wanted to do exhaust and you were doing one-off, you can take a tube and you can weld a cap on the end of it and pack it tight full of sand. I mean pack it tight, and then your top you make like what I would call like a lollipop looking thing that fits the inside of the tube with a bolt on it. Yeah. And then you put a cap on it with a hole and you tighten the bolt down and it smashes the sand, and then you can bend it. And then the tube, being thin wall, can't go anywhere. You basically just made a solid tube. And it works pretty well. It's a huge process that I would say is probably not worth it unless you're really committed. So one off. Yeah, if you got a bender like this and you're in your garage and you're going to want to bend your exhaust, sure. It's cool if it's one off, but you can't make any sort of, no efficiency. Yeah. And these also have what's called spring back. So we have a program, and this program says that that was a 167.2 degree angle with 10 degree spring back. So what that means is metal has memory. That's why you can pull a dent out of your car with a plunger, because it has memory to some extent. So tubing also has memory. So what the spring back does is if you want a 90 degree bend on here, you can't just bend it to 90 because it's going to be under 90. So you have to take it past that. So the spring back is the tricky part, is to get the spring back right, because you might say, let's do 10 degree spring back. So it'll bend it to 100 degrees, and when it relaxes, it should be 90. So the spring back is what we usually play with to try to get the tubes the correct angle. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's the memory and the material.
For Christian, for that metal, what's the typical spring back on that?
It really depends
on your angle.
The angle, the diameter, the wall thickness. There's quite a few variables. That's why we have a ballpark of where.
Can it go 5 degrees?
Yeah. Somewhere spring back is 2 degrees. It just depends. It really that one he did 10 degrees. The next one he bends may be slightly overbent or slightly underbent. So we test fit everything in the tooling, and if it needs to be bent more, we can put it back in and give it a little bit more. But we have a ballpark program that's 90% of the time neighborhood. Yeah, 90% of the time it's dead on. But like I was saying, we get different lot of tubing. So they'll make like a whole lot of tubing, and they'll have like a heat number with it, and then those might all bend the same, but then your next lot of tubing might slightly have some variations, and that's just in the properties. So we're able to tweak things with this machine. The other cool thing about this machine is like on our verticals, what we'll do is we'll put our vertical comes as a straight tube, and we'll put it in this indexing wheel. We can put it on 0. It's a wheel on here. We'll put it on 0, and we'll lock it down, and then we'll slide it in here, and we'll lock all this down like we're going to bend it, and then we'll do the first bend, and then we'll stay in there. and then the next bend is 180 degrees off. So what you do is you slide it forward, you turn that wheel to 180 degrees, clamp it all down, and then unfortunately you have to release that because we don't have enough length. And that's how we keep our tubes parallel, is with that degree wheel. You can do that with pretty much anything if you know what your angle needs to be. Like if you have a 90 and then you want to do a 45, you can put that in 0, bend it, and then switch to 45, and it'll rotate your tube. So that's really cool. We don't use it much, but we do use it on a lot of what else? We use it on verticals. I've used it on some one-off stuff. It's a super handy tool, and it pivots with the tube. So if you have a tube in there, as that bends, that's going to want to roll. So it's height adjustable. It slides. So you want to make sure your tube, when it's locked in here, is level, because it can tweak your bends weird. And it's all fully adjustable. That's why if you look there, you can see on the floor, you can see where it rotates. Cool. You guys got any questions on tube bending?
What size batches do you run?
I like to run batches of 8. It really depends on part flow and where we're at on things. If we're out of run low on a part, we're out of a part, we may run 12 of one part and then run 12 of that next week. But try to do 8 a week, give or take. Some weeks are great, some weeks we get 6. It just depends. But everything's hand built, so you gotta build in a little bit of forgiveness for stuff like that. Sure. Things will come out right in their jig. And this is just an example of the kind of the cart we'll get, and then we'll have our tray with the parts we need. And I set this up just enough to have parts to, make a frame today for you guys. Same thing over here. This table is where we run a lot of our, like our verticals and our horizontals, some of our smaller products. So he bolts it down and then he pivots. So this is an example of a finished in the jig welded vertical that he welded up the other day. So if you guys want to take a look at that, how things work, but that's that part. And then this is a sub-assembly that we will make. This is the steering stem. We make this ahead of time. We'll make a batch of those, and the tooling for this is literally that. We'll lay it all the way around the table. We have a jig, I don't know what he did with it, but it's a sleeve that goes on here, and we clamp it so everything stays tight and pressed together while we weld it. And then so we'll weld a little bit, and then we can line it up across the table. We weld them all in a flat position, which is good for strength. That's how you get that consistent penetration mark right there. So that's verticals. Horizontals, same thing. We switch. This is kind of the table we do all the smaller stuff on. And then over here, primarily this is a designated jig for the mainframes. This is a rotisserie table. And what it will do, because the mainframes have so many welds in different spots, and I'm short, the next guy's tall, whatever, we found it cumbersome to try to, so we came up with a table that allows you to weld in any position. So I prefer, me personally, I like to weld most of the welds in a flat position because you get a better weld profile, you get better penetration, you can kind of go slow, and I'm able to get in here and kind of get around and weld stuff up. And we will do a sample. I'll run some of this in a little bit here so you guys can see kind of the welding process. But yeah, depending on where you want it, you can rotate it. It'll go all the way around if you wanted it to. And this is on bearing, so it rolls really nice. I mean, you can see that's zero effort. We put a wheel on it, but we never use it. You don't need to. But this jig table is something new as of this year. We used to do them on that table, and it would put the jig so high that I would stand on a stool or weld a lot of the top.
I was going to say you need a high chair over there.
Yeah, and my main concern with that was you're running all your welds in a vertical position, which is fine. But for profile and strength, I like to weld things as flat as possible. Like Ford Motor Company will not allow you to weld any MIG welds in a vertical position for strength. So that's kind of the concept that I grasp for most things that I do production with.
Why I see that all the time on TV. Everything's always flat.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, verticals are fine, totally fine. But for a high stress motorcycle frame, ideally I'd like to weld as much of it as I can in a flat position, especially tube joints. These you can run vertical down. They look really nice because of the joint. But those are a long weld that burn your hands. So I'll run it at an angle like that. Basically, I go 90, 45, or not, straight 45 or 90 to do all of the mainframes. And we've done a couple other products on this table, but it's the jigs. We don't like to take this jig off because it's 4 pieces. And to keep it consistent every time, this thing never moves off this table. We just roll the table out, roll the next table. Would you guys like to see some of this being welded up? Yeah. I've got a curtain right here. If you guys could just stand.
Move the curtain.
Yeah, put the curtain. But we do have really nice ventilation in here, but I'm not going to run it today because it's super loud and you guys won't gain anything from it. We're not going to do that much welding.
I'm already dead.
Right? I think yours is the only helmet that isn't auto dark beam. But that's the best helmet here. That's my favorite lens ever. So on this, the first thing I would do is I got it all tacked up and I've done all the stuff that I do as I load it. So the first weld that I lay, I usually run here and lock it down at 90. And what I'll do is I'll weld this section right here and then I'll rotate it in adjacent. So let me do this one, and then when I rotate it, you guys will be able to see a little better. Just outside. Okay, don't look at the blue light. Yeah. If you guys want to check that out, feel free.
You've done this before.
I will tell you guys, I just came off a 3-week vacation. That is the first welds I've laid in probably 3 weeks. So, you guys can come closer. Just it's just scalding hot. Like that'll cook your skin immediately off. It hurts. So yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll rotate it, then I'll pull this pin, and I'll flip it all the way around. And there's a weld sequence to this. So if you weld all just one side, your frame comes out completely twisted. So there's a sequence to it to keep it square. Because heat will always draw, metal will always draw towards the heat. So like if you make a 90 degree and you weld it, it's going to want to do that. So you have to know how to compensate for that. And how we compensate by that is by jumping around in different spots. Not putting a bunch of heat here and then, a bunch of heat here. So we'll do a little here, jump around. So I'll pull this back a little bit so you guys can see. And I'll do this one for you guys. I prefer this side because I'm right-handed, so I can lean on this. So typically this side is, I always feel like it's my better side for welds. So the next place I would go, I usually will leave that, and the next place that I'll go is I'll go right here. And then I will do, I'll weld this around there, and then I'll rotate it all the way back around, and I'll do the same thing on the other side.
How long does it take?
I've done them, it really depends on how things work. Like if the fitment's really good, and everything works out perfect, you can probably weld one of these up in 45 minutes. Sometimes it takes you a little bit longer, give or take. About an hour of weld time does this and get it out. Takes you about the same to load the parts, because a lot of parts need to be just, because we want good fitment, sometimes we need to sand and tweak things and, you know, get it all tacked up really good. So you can do about 2 frames a day if you really everything goes pretty well. And that's getting parts and bending and the whole 9 yards, start to finish. Just this portion of the frame.
An assembly operation up to get your production up without sacrificing the, you know, human touch. And like we're talking about robot welders, which are a million times more efficient because they don't need a coffee break or lunch or overtime.
More people?
So yeah, well, exactly. So
this year, I'll take part of this. That's cool.
Go.
Just in the last couple months, the fab shop was 2 of us, and then it went down to 1. It was me. And then Jack, the guy you guys met, we hired him as a fabricator. And then because we've scaled up so much, we were able to hire a really, really talented fabricator welder who isn't here today, that usually works over here. His name is Brent. Super talented, and that's how we scale up. And they both know that we don't sacrifice quality for speed. This county is RV piece rate driven area, and that's the polar opposite of what I want here in this shop. It's quality first. Takes you a little longer. It is what it is, but we don't sacrifice quality at all.
The other half of that is that Jeff mentioned that we had 2 welders, and we went down to 1. We were able to actually improve our pace even at half the manpower, and the big part of that is it's not just. I think we will be hand welding these for a very long time. The efficiencies that we can gain are in the processes that we use. So that's something that these guys have been working really hard in the last 2 years, especially the last year. You heard a little bit about how we're breaking it down into different steps. These pallets or these baking trays. Being able to break that down into the distinct steps that you can. For one, you can train people faster on. You can keep parts flowing more easily that way. That kind of process we're going to be able to build efficiency with that. And then also, the other thing would be the tooling that you see here. The way that is designed is going to give us, we have the greatest potential to improve efficiency just with the tooling itself. So this tooling here is, we've been using this for 100 plus frames, yeah. And in that process, we've learned a lot about what needs to improve. So give us some examples, Jeff, of how would improving tooling improve our efficiency?
So the old saying is your product is only as good as your tooling, and it's so true. If you have tooling that you know is right, and you can throw parts into it, and you feel confidence that it's going to come out of that tool exactly how it's meant to be, then your efficiency is better. So when you're having to eyeball and tweak and clamp and stand on one leg, and hope that it's coming out right, that's where you lose all your time. So your tooling and your parts and dialing all that in, really the efficiency kind of comes with the tooling.
But like for example, this tooling here takes a certain amount of time to load the parts into it, and it takes you have to have, like here, you have to have a wrench that goes on this piece. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that Jeff's been working on is no tools. All toggle clamps or hand tightening, so that you don't have to pick up a wrench and then take your glove off to put put your glove back on to weld it, and then even just to how easy it is to put these parts in and how easy it is to pull it out. Obviously, this rotisserie is another example of, you can imagine how much faster he's able to do it by being able to be comfortable and have it at the right angle. So that's going to be developing those processes, along with, obviously, Jeff's uncompromising approach to quality. But as we scale up production, and this is not just true of the fabrication shop, this is true of final assembly as well. It's working on those processes, making it easier to train, making it less about taking a file, tweaking this a little bit, because if you keep doing that all day, you're not gonna build as many frames, and you won't get to concentrate on the quality.
Yeah.
You're worried about making it fit.
Yeah, that's the stuff you do when you're building your own bike at home, and you can take that kind of love and care and file. I still do that at home when I build my stuff. I have that. I take that kind of time because it has to be a certain way, but there's got to be a fine line between efficiency and quality. There needs to be. They need to merge together. Where, sure, could you find every little defect and fix it? Sure, you could, but do you need to? Is it going to be seen? Is it strong? Because I am a perfectionist. If I make you something with my own two hands, it meets my criteria, which is pretty high. And
I'm the same way.
Good.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends built motorcycles from the shit that I threw in the garbage.
Which is
true
awesome.
story.
And as a follow-up for Jeff and Richard, it occurs to me, as a Janus owner, as someone who came here, found you online, came and did the discovery day, came to the shop, I just wonder, do you think if you were maybe more forward-facing about this part of the process and the personalities of the real machine, real people making real motorcycles, part of it, that might address some of the outcry online of this, what, 250 cc's, like $8,000, what a ripoff, I can get a Royal Enfield. Okay, but it's made, well, of course, but it's made by a robot, right? I mean, it's not done here by hand by Jeff in a welding jig. Right?
Well, we're working on it. We're working on getting more videos out like that.
That's
we
why you're
will
here
see
too.
more of it.
That's why you're all here.
Hey, Richard, I think to his point, your Janus bikes are made with IQ, not AI.
Right. I will leave you with this. The thing that brought me to Janus was when I took a tour, and every single person at Janus, and this is no joke, Richard didn't pay me extra for this, I was blown away at the love and the craftsmanship in the product. Whether it be the paint, the assembly, the welding, and that's really what brought me out of the big metal industry, structural welding, into doing something that I can throw my own personal passion into, and I feel like everybody at Janus has that, shares that. Right. So,
thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
That was an awesome demonstration. We're going to check out the rest of this place now. Check it out. CNC table, plasma cutting. Yeah. That's a plasma cutting table. Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for the light. Yeah. Like every week. Oh man, my son-in-law stole my. He made me another one.
Got a fender demo for us.
Fender demo. This is what I've been wanting to see.
You got 24 minutes. Oh,
It's so versatile. We haven't even tapped into it.
It's actually 99 decibels, so you do.
That's all right.
We've experimented and put on some fun things. We made That's not the loud. All right, welcome to the fender making area. I'm Brent, fender fabricator here in Janus. I'm going to today take you through the process of making a fender, show you a little bit about each process, and while I'm doing so, if you want to get up and close with the machines, if you want to stick your head near the machines, if you feel comfortable getting close to the machines, don't put your head in the machine. Feel free. One thing to note, just about every corner of the shop has a sharp edge somewhere on it, so just be careful. But do feel free to turn the planching hammer around here, so if you want to get in close, cycle through, take some photos, take some video, feel free. This is the 4th year I've been making fenders here at Janus. It's been somewhere around 2,500 fenders out of the shop at this point. I think one of the cool things about this shop is to keep this part of the shop running, I need flat sheets of metal. And that's about it. I need some oil for my machines, but I'm able to keep producing fenders as long as I've got flat sheets of metal. It comes in flat sheets. It gets sheared up to fender widths, and then those fender widths get a template placed on them, nose and tail profile traced on them, and then it gets all the holes it needs to be mounted to the bike or to be mounted to other parts of the fender. Those holes, as you can see here, they're just dimpled in. But once the stretching happens, all those holes end up exactly where they need to be to mount to the bike and match up perfectly with either other fender parts, such as the side skirted fenders you see over here, or to the bike. The middle of the fender is stretching about 105% length, and the sides are shrinking about 90% of their original length to compound the curve. So I'm going to start by just showing how we get started. The process, and this is true with all metal shaping, you're trying to get the metal to accept the next step a little easier. So a lot of the steps you have in place are just there so it doesn't buckle in the next step. And so to start out, once we have our fender shape made, I just need to get this end started. I did this earlier with the group before. I need to get this end started so that it will accept the doming, the radius. And what we do is we go into these radius dies and put a very specific radius into the metal. And that's how we're achieving that repeatability. Getting all those holes to line up perfectly on the bike is by stretching the metal an exact amount so that in its language it can only then once it's stretched into a domed, perfectly domed piece of metal, it only has so many options thereafter in terms of what shape it can become. And I'll show that part here in a few minutes. But I'm going to start by just moving some of this metal, flexing it down so that it's not going to buckle during the next step. Here's where you're going to want your hearing protection. This is our lovingly named Satan's machine gun behind me. And what I need to do is I need to average out the deflection that's in the metal. So any anomaly in the metal, as soon as you start trying to stretch it, it's going to reveal itself and cause you problems. It's going to accentuate and exacerbate. So that's why you really want to be kind of light on those transitions and heavier out here. But I'm going to go ahead and pop my own hearing protection on. Again, feel free to come into the shop and get a little closer up. This is an air hammer, and it's pounding about a 6-inch radius die here to average that deflection. if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to jump in and ask them, or once we finish the fender, we can go over some more questions.
I think you need a new one.
Yeah, when do you get a new apron?
You don't like mine?
It's not in the budget.
You can tell why most of my shirts are dirty right here, or have a hole right here.
Time for a new apron.
Real quick question. Are you not required to wear safety glasses?
I do when I'm using this machine. This machine I don't as often. This one spits at me or can spit oil at me. That's why I have this nice little guard up here. But I didn't remember to put them on today. All right, these are dies that have a very specific radius. They're actually mismatched radii to account for the thickness of the metal at full contact. But the idea is here, I just want to start putting a dimple down the middle of the sheet and ease that shape into it. I'm trying to minimize the chances that it wants to buck. I can come back here and remove them, but more back and forth is more energy and more wasted time. I'm going to start this off and get it going for you. One of the things I'm really trying to do also is try to balance the stretch in the metal. Any kind of pressure I'm putting on the piece of metal while it's being shaped, the metal remembers that. And so you can inadvertently put twists in the metal, or if you're not running straight down the center of these dies, you could be stretching one side of the fender or the other. And as you stretch it, it's going to start stretching up into those dies, right? So the registration changes every single pass. So there you can see what's happening, and because there's no metal out here containing this metal, and while you're stretching it, that transition creates stress in that transition of not having containment to having containment in the center. And so you see how it wants to bend over and bulge. And so the next step here is to go back to the planishing hammer, clean that up, and continue stretching. It's about 20 passes on the machine to go from flat sheet to a uniform 6 and some inch radius in all directions. And the magic step is next, which is to take the fender and stretch it out into a fender shape. The fender itself, because of the uniform radius that's in it, as you stretch it out and take that uniform radius and take it into two opposing directions, they have an inverse relationship. So the sides will get smaller and the length of the fender will extend.
What's that fender for?
This is a 450 front fender, standard 450 front fender. So you have to start by hand. Just like a lot of these steps, it's really about just getting it ready for the next step. Really paying attention to the fact that the fender wants to fall off. It's on a balance beam or a tightrope. It doesn't want to stay perfectly even. It wants the strain and tension of it wants to walk off to one side or another. And so you could easily end up with too much sidewall on one side or the other if you weren't stretching it, pulling it, and affecting it from that center median. This is just a giant Columbia vise out of Cleveland, Ohio, and we welded 2 half-inch plates of steel to it to assist in this next step, which is just to take it from that tight radius out into a nearly fully formed finished fender. And at this point, you want to be repeatable here at this point, but we're just getting closer to the next step, right? The final shaping, the final sizing happens at the very end. That's my favorite part. That's kind of the rabbit out of the hat trip. I'm going to change dies. If Richard or Brent want to share anything?
Well, Brent changes dies. We're going to look at skirted fenders here. Skirted fenders, if you have them, or you may wonder why they're $100. It takes a day of work to do a set of skirts. There's about 150 to 200 drill actions per fender when you start counting up all the holes and all the pilot holes and all the enlarging holes and all the cleanup holes and all the click count. And then there's a hand fit, hand scribed. We'll make this fender set is different than a normal fender. So we'll create this fender, even though it's almost perfect every single time and almost the same every single time. Each skirt will get scribed to uniquely fit the actual profile of the fender. And then each little flange here goes through the flange die to create that awesome little, that's all the details of the skirt is what makes it, it gives it that extra 99%, or extra 1% that makes it really wonderful. So you can see how the bead runs over the edge and it's matched there, and this flange here matches up so perfectly. So when you get a chance to take a look at it, you can see the details, and it's worth it. It's one of the pieces of bodywork that really makes the details are in the devil's in the details, the values in the details too, and that's what when you roll up to a show, you get old coachwork guys drooling over your bike and that.
So that was the fabrication shop. I thought that was really cool. It shows you everything. They go into great detail on the fenders. They go into great detail on the frames. And I thought that was really interesting. And I tried to film of it as much as I can, but with the fender aspect of it, there's so many hours that goes into making one of those fenders. I couldn't film it all, otherwise this video would be way too long. But it sounds like we're gearing up to go on a ride. So we're back at HQ now. I'm going to go gas up the Halcyon 450, and we're going to get ready to go. So, yeah, I'll try and get some cam footage of that maybe, and go from there. So, see you in a bit. Janus motorcycles as far as the eye can see. Too cool.
Hey, you made it. You're winning the slow race today?
just got back from the ride a little bit ago. Had some dinner. They were doing burnouts over here and slow races. So slowest person wins, which is a lot harder to do on a motorcycle than you think. So I didn't catch a lot of that stuff just because this video is getting pretty long. The whole goal behind the video was to just showcase kind of the rally and what it's about, and showcase Janus and show them what they're about. Moto Cult made an appearance. These are the guys that make the performance parts for Janus. Check them out. That's pretty sweet. So you get yourself a Janus motorcycle. They have tons of parts, performance, aesthetic upgrades, everything. The place is cleaned out a lot because it looked like it was gonna rain, so everybody got kind of scared. So I hope some people come back, but I don't know. But Mitch McLean and company, which is the band that's playing, is actually my salesman. Check this out. I think that's going to wrap up the video. It's going to be pretty uneventful from here on out. Tomorrow morning, this is going to be coffee and donuts, and then basically we head out. Got a 10-hour drive home, so I think I'm going to end it here. But yeah, I came with one, and I'm leaving with two. So. But just to recap, I mean, I really can't stress enough how amazing this whole experience has been. I mean, just the most personable people on the planet. And everybody is just so warm and welcoming. And, you know, the whole shop is open. You can go inside and you can literally do everything. And they're so open about stuff. And the beauty about it is when you get here, you can sign a piece of paper that allows you to ride any company-owned motorcycle that they have. So if they have like a Halcyon 250 or a Halcyon 450 or like their Phoenix, which is their cafe bike, Griffin, whatever you want to ride, they have something for everybody. And, you know, you can hop right on it, take it up the road and be like, well, let me come back and be like, okay, well, let me try this one. So I've ridden just about every single model, and I'm still very happy with my choice in models. But there is a flavor of Janus for everybody, and you might not understand it at first, but that's okay. That's part of the experience. So I'm gonna go enjoy some music, finish my beer, and thanks for watching, guys. This has been a lot of fun. So hopefully maybe we do it next year, and we'll see where it goes. Try and catch some new stuff next year too. So thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you later. What a vibe this place is.